there are points in our lives when our work, when our loved ones, when whatever, we don't love them, we don't like them, we don't desire them, we don't want to do anything associated with the work, with the people that we have moments. Is that real? Yeah. But is it also just as real to choose love or choose to go work out or choose to show up for work or choose to do the dishes or like, what's real? It's all real. I have two questions for you. Like, who do you want to be? And do you like your personality? Welcome to 5-Star Life Radio. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with my co-host, Coach Mia.
Thanks, Seth.
And we're going to have a great show. If you just tuned in, be sure to go check us out on the website, 5starlife.org, to learn more about this mission we're on of really, truly transforming and changing like the face of education, of sports, and of culture. That's a big ask, but we're a nonprofit. We've been in business for going on 20 years. We'll celebrate 20 years this coming year.
Yeah.
And so we're excited, but thanks for tuning in. Just a reminder before we dive in, you can watch this on YouTube at the 5-Star Life YouTube page. You can also listen anywhere podcasts are streamed, but we're going to jump in and have a great show.
Let's do it. What are we going to talk about?
Personality. So, there's this interesting thing, like most people don't really think about the fact that personality, according to research, is the most important factor in your success. So when you think about how long you live, longevity of life, quality of life, divorce rate, and even like how much money you make and how successful you are in your career, those three big things all are determined. The number one determiner of that is personality.
But immediately I'm thinking, well, I was born this way. So am I stuck with my personality?
No, that's the thing that we all think. Like we all hear it, right? Like, well, this is just how I am. It's just who I am. Man, I wish I was outgoing.
Yeah, I'm just like my mom.
Man, I wish I didn't have this anger issue. I wish I didn't have this depression. Man, I wish I was more like that. And the awesome news I have for everybody listening today is you can be more like that. Our brains have this plasticity. They can stretch and grow, and our personality is shaped by free will and choice. It's really just about us taking one of our 5-star values and living by it, the responsibility piece, taking ownership of our life.
So it's not like a habit and you have to do it for 21 days and then like it changes, or how does that work?
Well, it's kind of like you think about dieting or you think about your health, right? So think about if all of a sudden I want to change my physique, I can't just go to the gym and work out hard for 2 hours and change into like, having the physique I want. What is it? I can make up my mind that I want that and start going after that. Same principle with personality. Just because you want it doesn't mean you go get it by taking a pill or by working out.
Right.
But the desire tips the scale so that you actually go to the gym, start working out, start changing what you put in your mouth. Same thing with personality.
So is there a beginning part to this, or?
Yeah, it takes really, again, if you can take ownership, I think it starts with your mindset. We've talked about that a lot. Obviously, that's what we talk about with kids, is it all comes back down to your mindset. If you do not believe that you can change, you won't change.
Right.
You'll stay stuck. And so it comes down to this idea of either, am I going to have a mindset of an owner, where I take ownership of my life, or am I going to be a victim of my current personality, which was shaped by my upbringing, by my family, by the income we had, by how I see the world? Like, am I going to be a victim of that and stay stuck there, or being an owner and start shaping it?
That's so good, because I think most people, it's almost like a curse. It's the way I was brought up. I was brought up in a big Italian family and everybody was loud and nobody listened. And, and you're just like, well, that's just how it is.
Yeah, and that's what we naturally go to. We just kind of think it is what it is. And there was a bunch of bad information back in the day about like, we hear, a kid is basically shaped by age, 7 and they are stuck. And so we just kind of think, and by the way, they've changed a lot of that. I mean, there's no question kids are majorly impacted by their upbringing, but we have this plasticity. We can, there's never a point where we're too far gone. We can't change. Is it hard? Yes. Much easier when you're younger. It's why parenting is so important. It's why education is so important. But we can change in any stage of our life.
The other part of that too is we also think getting out of that environment is going to change us.
Yeah, and which is partially true. But they always say like you can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl.
Right.
So it doesn't matter where you go. It always follows you.
Your personality comes with you.
Your personality follows you. So people that leave one job to take another job because of whatever, like I just had a conversation with somebody that's transitioning, and in their work, got to clarify these days, and I just said, make sure you work really intentionally to leave well. Because how you leave is how you're going to start. And whatever attributes and pieces that you struggled with in that environment, like if we can absorb and learn from the environment we're in and start to be resilient and be owners, and even when it's hard to get along or when it's hard not to have anger or depression or anxiety or whatever, if we can be strong in those environments to be resilient, then when we make the change, if we need to make a change, it is going to be much easier because it's a fresh start, right? But for most of us, it's about hanging in our life, making some changes, but changing from within.
Okay.
So, here's an example. As a kid, I was super shy, right? Very quiet, shy, would hide behind my parents. And it was something that as I got into elementary school, and I'm like, okay, it's more fun to be outgoing, and I like to be around people that are outgoing and more high energy. So I realized that I needed to change. And the beauty of it is, one of the hijacks, kind of a hack or a tip I have for people is, I read this in a book probably a decade ago. Every time I go through a doorway, that's kind of a trigger reminder for me. Hey, you're leaving one room, you're going into another room. Just kind of do a quick reset of how do you want to walk into that room? Like, who do you want to be? What version of yourself do you want to display and present as? That hack has been so helpful to me because I can think about, okay, do I want to walk in with low energy, staring at my phone, or do I want to bring whatever I experienced in the last room into this new room? It's a hack that's helped me not get stuck, right? We've talked in the show before about like this idea of like you have a bad moment or a bad experience with somebody or with yourself, and that moment becomes a mood. Mm-hmm. Like there's an emotional trigger, and then if you hang on to that, it becomes a mood. Well, the mood can follow you from one room to the next. Now, over time, you have enough rooms like that, it becomes an attitude. That attitude then starts to shape your personality. So we know it works in reverse on a negative side. The same can happen on a positive side. I can come out of a horrible situation and just say, okay, I'm turning the page. How do I want it? Like, for instance, I made a decision many years ago, and that I wasn't going to come home bringing my work home. It's not that I never work at home, but I'm not bringing the baggage. Does that make sense? I'm not bringing the baggage home. So I'm never walking through my door on the phone with my head down with my phone texting email. I've sat in my driveway for 45 minutes to an hour and a half at times working, but I'm not going in my house because I want to walk in that door and see my wife and see my kids, and I want to be a certain way. Those are personality shaping and changing habits and tricks that have helped me.
Those are all great things. And I, first of all, I was thinking about the door, walking through the door and who do I want to be? And I thought this is where you want to work in an open, concept where you don't have a lot of doorways. We have a ton of doorways here.
Got a lot of doorways.
Yeah. So that, and when you do it, it's hard because you're constantly
it is
going
hard.
into another room.
And again, I've failed so much in this area. Like, last night I got home 8:00 and it was I'm up in the 5 o'clock hour and I'm done working and getting home at 8:00. And it was just one of those days where I was 3 days in a row where it was early, late type of scenario. And which I love what I do, but I'm just dragging. Mm-hmm. So I'm just tired. So I'm picturing myself last night, when my kids walk in and see me, I'm just slouched over in the corner, in the recliner reading or something. So I'm not saying you can't ever just relax and let your guard down, but I'm talking about when you're engaging, people for the first time that day. Okay, I went over. We'll come back after this.
Did you know that you can bring the values, lessons, and mindsets Coach Seth discusses on the 5-Star Life podcast to your local community? Schools are searching for programs and content that work. Just a simple introduction to your teacher or principal could be a game changer in your community. Inquire at 5starlife.org and someone from our team will be in touch.
Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined with my co-host, Coach Mia.
Thanks, Seth. So we were talking about personality, which I'm very intrigued that we're teaching that you can change your personality.
We can change our personality. It's interesting, and some people don't like this conversation because some people don't like their personality. Something like 30, I don't know, there's a percentage of people that don't like their personality at all. Most of us don't like who we are some of the time.
Is it so much that they don't like their personality, but just how you were talking about it, you can be a victim of it or you can be an owner of it. And it's more comfortable and easier to be a victim of it. So
I don't have the research to back this up, but I'm sure there's a real connection to that exact point. People who own their lives, they like their personality, right? Because they're in control. Maybe they don't like how they performed that last conversation, that last instance, but they like who they are. Those who have a victim mindset, they are more prone to depression, to anxiety, and they're victimized by trauma. And so they point to their personality, and then that points back to what? A situation, a moment of trauma, right? A bad upbringing, a bad moment. And then that brings them to where they are, but they don't take any personal responsibility for it. And I had this grandparent at SNAP just recently just say, and this is an older gentleman, really wise. And he's like, one of the things that I've learned is that when I have a bad moment, whether it's me or something does something to me, I've learned to just let it be a bad moment. It can just be a moment that I kind of draw a circle around it and encapsulate it and put it on the shelf, and it's over. And I don't let the moment follow me to the next 5 minutes. And isn't that brilliant?
Oh, it's brilliant. But I think of all the people who are going, well, who can leave it up there, on the shelf? It's like, I got to take that back down. I got to, go over it again and again and again.
Yeah.
Where did I go wrong? Why did those people say that?
Yeah, that negative, it's like rumination where you just ruminate, let it settle. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about putting the shelf as past history to learn from, to glance back at once in a while. It's like, remember that? That wasn't our best. We don't want to do that. We want to do this instead. Yeah, that's why it's there. It's not to make you feel guilty or ashamed. It's past history to be learned from, to improve, to build upon. It's not to be like, I'm going to just ruminate on this and, oh my goodness, I'm so bad, or what was done to me was so bad. Rumination is toxic, and it's a toxic habit that we choose to put up with. We choose it. It's just a habit. We're all in cycles. All of us are in cycles, right? That's how our brain works. It's in cycles. We're creatures of habit. That's the power of changing our personality. It's in those habits. So if you can change that, okay, I'm putting on the shelf as history to be learned from, but I'm not letting the shame and the guilt follow me, and I'm not going to ruminate on it. That might be a first step for people.
And that's true wisdom.
A lot of wisdom in that. So it's interesting. So in our lesson with kids, we talked about this study. Several universities were involved in it. They studied hundreds of college students, and they asked college students what their favorite personality traits were. Not their own, but in other people. Personality, I can say it better. Personality traits that they admired or were desirable in other people. And at the top of the list, the top two were extroversion, or being outgoing, talkative, and then the other one, or high energy. And the other one was agreeableness, just like being easy to get along with, right? Where it's not like you're not a person that everything is an altercation, and like you don't have to disagree with everything I say just because you're trying to share your point of view, right?
Right.
So agreeableness and extroversion are the top two personality traits in the survey that we desire, that we like to be around. So it's good to think about that. And the lowest personality traits were the opposites. So introversion are people that just are almost antisocial or standoffish, or eyes down, head down, they're closed for business. And then the other side of agreeableness would be just like you just are a person where you always have to win or be right, or you always have to counter and play devil's advocate all the time.
That's a tough trait, especially when you don't know somebody and you encounter that, and everything you say, they counter, they're always countering whatever you're saying.
Even if they're brilliant and correct.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you meet people that are brilliant and correct, and you're like, I don't want to be around them.
Right.
And we foolishly discount what they say. So they miss out on an opportunity of changing the world because they have some good points. But if they could just tweak their personality to being a little more agreeable to saying, okay, I don't need to let my point and opinion even be heard, let alone win very often.
Right.
I can just listen, enjoy the conversation. And maybe instead of making my point, just ask a question. Really. So instead of disagreeing, just like, really, no kidding. You think that everybody should just literally shave their heads and not wear clothes. That's what you think we should do as human beings in the workplace. Wow. Okay. So why do you think that? That is wild. I've never heard that before. There's a different way to play that gets the other person to share, and it's really interesting. You learn a lot about people, and guess what? I'm no longer a jerk. I'm now interested in them, and they think I'm actually interesting just because I'm listening. And I care, because most people, probably their reaction is, you're crazy, and they walk away.
Right. That's good. What are some other examples that you had of those kind of traits?
So the other one that was significant was people who have low emotional stability. They're just emotionally needy. So people that wear their emotions on their sleeve. So, if it's a close friend and they're having a tough day, you can handle that and you care about them and you're totally good with it. But if they do that again, you're like, oh, they're still struggling. If they do that again, all of a sudden you're like, I need to find a new friend because they are stuck and I can't help them and they don't notice it and they are sucking the life out of me.
I think that is one of the hardest personalities to be around for me personally, because after a point you do have to walk away because they don't want to change. And then you're like, I'm wasting my time. They're wasting their time. They're not getting it better.
And for me, I can't even stand to be around myself when I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what in the world am I doing? Like, what is going on?
You run away from yourself.
Yes. No. I'm just like, grow the heck up, shake it. I will literally shake it off.
I have never, ever been around you when you were like that. So
it's rare, but you have, and I'm not super dramatic, but it's like, grow up, move on. What are you doing? I like shake myself, right? But for the people that are stuck there, here's the belief and the lie that most of them believe and why they stay stuck here. I'm just being true to myself.
And it goes back to, this is who I am. This is my personality.
Yeah. And then we cast it on the other person. If you don't like it, then you don't really care about me. Right? We play that game. And holy cow, is that unfair?
And taking it back to what we're teaching. So they're not being an owner, they're being a victim.
They're a victim. And now, because you don't just want to jump on their victim bandwagon, now you are part of the trauma. Now they're feeling victimized again and again with every person that doesn't just sit there in the muck with them. And so what do you do if you're stuck? Owners recognize, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in the muck. And first of all, you have to believe I can get out. I can change. And it's as simple as this. If I believe that my emotions are king, that my emotions are in charge, my feelings are reigning supreme and are true, then I will stay stuck forever because those feelings won't change. They won't go away. It's like a heavy blanket stuck. But if I understand that a feeling is it's just a feeling, it's not truth. It's just a feeling. So I can change my feelings like I change my clothes. People don't understand how powerful that principle is. You can change your feelings like you change your clothes. I am taking this feeling off like a coat. I'm removing it. I'm putting on positivity, happiness, joy. Well, that's not real. It is real. The feeling of the happiness will catch up eventually, but just smile. Be nice. Think about somebody else.
Think about somebody else.
Powerful one.
Yep.
Okay, so we've given some good things to think about, and I really encourage our listening audience, if this is helpful and you're not thinking of just everybody else, you're thinking of yourself, go ahead and send it to somebody that maybe you think could benefit from this, and we'll be right back after this.
5 Star Life is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to changing the face of culture by changing kids' mindsets. Since 2005, we've impacted hundreds of thousands of lives thanks to the generous support of individuals, small businesses, corporations, and foundations. Are you interested in helping 5 Star Life grow into all 50 states? With your donation or introduction, you can help bring 5 Star Life to your community, school, and state. Go to 5starlife.org and send us an email today. That's FIVESTARLIFE.org.
Welcome back to the 5 Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, joined in studio with Coach Mia.
Thanks, Seth.
And we're having a great show, and we're talking about this whole idea of the power that we all have, that maybe we don't even know it. It's the secret weapon of taking personal responsibility. In the opening, I talked really about, who do you want to be? That's a fun question to ask ourselves. We don't think enough about that. And then, what kind of personality do we want to have? Do we like our personality? And the beautiful thing about being a human being is the reason that we can even have the intellectual ability, the consciousness, the awareness that we don't like something about our personality. The very point of that should just reiterate that that's how powerful we are, because it's meant for continuous improvement. I'm highlighting this area that I don't feel good about because it's supposed to change. That's why we're designed that way. So we get to be the captain of our own ship, but a lot of times we become victims. And anytime we're stuck, it's because we're victims, right? Or maybe because we don't know what to do. But again, when you're an owner, guess what? I don't always know what to do when I'm doing my job. I don't always know what to do, but guess what? I'm going to dig in and I'm going to figure it out.
Where does that come from, though? Because obviously, if everybody had it, then we wouldn't be talking about these problems. So where do you get that motivation?
Well, I think when you know you can change, you believe you can change. I have a deep belief. That I am, right now I'm 46 years old, and I'm not settled. I'm not fixed. I'm not stuck where I am. I'm at this point in my journey. I'm going somewhere. Every part of me is going somewhere. So I have a deep belief. So I haven't bought into this. Yeah, you're getting older, so that means your health's going to start falling apart. And I had somebody tell me 10 years ago, don't lift weights, don't do these things, it's hard on your body. And I'm just I refuse, I'm going to be wise. I don't want to ruin my joints, right? But I don't believe that. I believe I'm going to keep getting stronger, healthier, wiser. I think my personality is going to get better. I think I'm going to get better with people. I'm going to get better in my trade. I'm going to get better in my marriage, my kids. I just have that deep belief that life is, the way God made us is for continuous improvement, but it should keep getting better. And the only reason it won't is if we don't put effort into it. We don't have some intentionality. And that's just a lack of ownership.
Right. And accepting, you don't want to accept that you're 46 and you're going to get arthritis and, whatever it is. Yeah.
And I know I talk to people because like, that sounds exhausting. Like it's exhausting. Like you just, and it's like, it's not exhausting. Exhaustion is a frame of mind. It's really a state of mind. And it's funny because when you get tired, when you're going, there's these moments where you're going hard and it is exhausting. And in those moments, I'm just like, well, who am I? Am I going to be exhausted? Or am I going to take stock of, okay, I need to get some rest. Okay, so last night I was exhausted. And I normally read something. I'm always reading. Last night, I took 25 minutes and looked up my favorite comic. Like, he's a comedian. And I spent 30 minutes just laughing. It revived me. Then I read a little before I went to bed. Like, just getting to know who I am has been a journey. It's fun. And then I didn't go to bed like drained, like, oh, I got to get up at 5:45 and I was like, I'm already, like, I feel good. So it's just when you start to invest in yourself and you have a relationship with yourself and you can listen to yourself and pay attention to the flags your body's throwing up and listen and then lean into those and then make tweaks, we are unbelievable creatures.
So that's at 46, but it's like, what about the Seth at 10 and 12? Let's talk about that. Because, you know what I mean? We've learned to, learn who we are and have self-awareness. But what do we teach our kids? Yeah,
I remember being 19 and I had somebody say, Seth, because I was doing an internship with some other people my age, like college age, and I was in this group and I had somebody older than me just say, yeah, Seth, some of these other interns, some of the guys like came to me and were like, hey, what's up with Seth? And I was kind of like a little bit offended. I was like, what do you mean, what's up with me? And they're like, yeah, there's like, what's up with him? I was like, explain what do you mean, what's up with me? I'm like, I am who I am. Like, well, they just all said, you're just kind of, I don't know, you're just kind of stoic or arrogant or something. And at first I was like, what are they talking about? I kind of blew it off. But I thought about it and I was like, something in my personality is coming across in a way I don't want to come across. Because I don't feel like I'm prideful. I don't feel like I'm better than anybody. But that's how I was coming across. So I was like, I had to go to work and I started looking at people and people that were really good in social environments. And when people were warmed up to that person, I started reading what those little tricks were. And I started to adapt. I'm like, okay, I need to smile more. I need to have better body language. Like just the way I was standing, my body language was just almost like, I'm here, but I'm just kind of in my own world. So it was all through my life. There's these little moments that just were these little triggers of like, I don't want to come across to the world that way. And right now, that's my personality. I'm going to tweak it.
And, I think as children, we have that sense. You come home and why doesn't so-and-so like me? And then as a parent, instead of, getting upset because somebody doesn't like your child, it's like, well, talk about the situation. You can kind of walk them through that.
That's a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
How about you? What like, as you think about the journey you've been on with your personality, can you think about moments you're like, okay, man. I need to.
Yeah. I don't, you know what? I can think about moments that people probably were telling me that, I needed to change something, but I'm such a firecracker that I was like, what do they know? Because I can walk in a room. I mean, I'm a short person, but I can command with my face, My husband has helped me a lot with that. So I've had some great bosses in my life that have helped me with that too. So,
Mm-hmm. I'll never forget. I remember as a staff, we did this exercise and we had to go through the office and I think we were looking at different personality types in the office and we're trying to pick something that would, in a word or a sentence, a catchphrase that would sum up somebody. I remember a staff member said, when they were talking about you, they said, sweet and spicy. Sweet, incredibly sweet, and then she has the fire too. You have the fire, you have the sweet, you have both, and that sums up a lot of your personality.
They said sweet and spicy, just not spicy. So,
but that's part of your personality. It's very dynamic.
Yeah.
So you can be very direct, and you can be very warm and sweet, and that makes up the fun and the beauty of who Coach Mia is.
I think it's scary to people, though, sometimes.
Well, and this is where I think certain personalities, if you are really if you're too far in the agreeable category, if you're a total pleaser, then you love the sweet side of your personality, but the spicy side of accountability or challenge or just sharing an opinion with, some aggressiveness, some assertiveness, if you're too agreeable, that will cause people to shut down. They don't know what to do with it. Which, for those personality traits, like being a pleaser is not, it's too far on the spectrum, right? It falls into the weakness side of that really positive, agreeable factor that people want to be around. Go too far, it's out of balance. Now I'm just a pleaser and a brown noser, and I have no opinion, and I'm just worried about people liking me.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to learn about personality and who we are and where we are and what we want to change. And I really want to encourage people not to be overwhelmed by it.
No, and I think it's exciting to know that we can change and that you want to change. I mean, I think it hurts me for people when they don't see that they can change or they don't have the desire to change.
Yeah, and there is, you think about the impact, again, going back to the earlier segment I talked about, the game-changing role our personality plays in marriage, in our mortality, and ultimately in our work environment. I mean, it's personality. And as I talk to other executives and people in education, every people issue is personality issues. Hard to work with, right? Not like just it's those personality issues. And personality comes down to integrity. It comes back down to our 5 values. They have the personality of they want to agree so bad that they'll lie to tell you what you want to hear because they don't want to take the heat. It's all these different things are mixed up in it. So interesting stuff. We got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after this.
Five Star Life offers year-round programs for kids at our 350-acre training facility that we call Summit. These programs focus on 3 core components. First, each program includes lessons from our curriculum that targets kids' mindset. Secondly, each program teaches a skill like equine, archery, blacksmithing, basketball, fishing, boating, and many more. Thirdly, our programs connect kids to mentors we call coaches who are trained to help kids live a 5-star life. Go to 5starlife.org to learn more or sign up your kids.
Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, joined with Coach Mia.
Thanks, Seth. This has been a fun segment.
It is a fun show,
Yeah.
and the topic is, again, I'm sure at first people are like, who do I want to be? What's up with my personality? Like, if you held on long enough to stay with us, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I actually hope that you'll share it with other people. We're trying to change the world and try to help encourage people, and we know educators, parents are tuning into this, so just go ahead and hit that share button, that like button. If you've never subscribed, hit the subscription button, and you can watch this on YouTube, or you can listen anywhere podcasts are streamed. You can learn more at 5starlife.org. I want to encourage folks, if you like the content that we have in this show, I really want to encourage you to think about, would this benefit a school near me or a nonprofit near me or my family? And there are so many ways you can bring 5-star to your home, to your business, or to your local community through a school or whatever. So go to 5starlife.org to learn more. And if you don't understand how that could practically relate, like reach out to us, hit the contact us button and just have a quick conversation so we can talk about some of the practical ways. We've got so many tools.
We do.
And we have an app getting ready to launch this school year. So it's in beta mode. It's going really good. It's in beta mode for a long time. For long-time listeners, you're like, you've been saying beta mode for a long time. Listen, there's a part of, like when you call yourself 5-star, you can't release a 2-star app if it's not ready. So we had hoped to release this earlier, but boy, app development is a deal.
It is a deal. And our producer Arnold back here has been very active in that process. So
yes, he has.
Kudos
to Coach Arnold.
Yeah.
Producer Arnold.
Well, I was scared to even say that because we have a hard time having the two R's.
Producer Arnold, producer Arnold, producer Arnold. I got it. I walked through the door, Mia.
We struggle with that.
So I want to show a quick clip. People can see this on YouTube. That's the benefit of watching YouTube. If you're just listening, listen to this interview. This is a student named Jada who talks a little bit about her transformation, how 5-star video curriculum in her school impacted her life.
I don't know, I'm not that confident, and I feel like it helps build my mental health. And then I feel like I always look to other people, and then I never really think that they might be also not really sure of themselves. So then I don't know, I feel like it's helped me been more aware of other people. Well, don't really worry about it, because even though you're not sure about yourself, a lot of people aren't sure about themselves either, so they're not paying attention to you. They're worried about what you think of them or it. Fake it till you make it. If you fake being confident, then eventually you actually are oh, you are proud of yourself and confident in yourself.
Have you ever had to fake your personality?
Oh yeah, no question.
Yeah, me too.
And let's talk about that for a second. What is real? What is fake? So here's our human mentality on this. Here's the way we look at this, and it's not correct. We think if there's not a feeling behind it, then it's not real. If I don't feel this way, then I'm faking it. That's what we call it. I know what you're saying.
Right.
But there's something wrong with our mindset on this. And again, I know some people are thinking, well, that's not true, Coach. Stick with me. If the comedian I was listening to last night was talking about marriage, and he was talking about it, somebody in the audience, they had been married for 2 months. And he was like, what are you doing at a comedy show? You've been married for, you should be frolicking around in the lilies, and you should be doing other things. But let me tell you something. Change gonna come. Change gonna come. It won't always be that way. There will be more moments. There's one day you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be like, "What? Your breath, your look, what is?" Oh. My point is, there are points in our lives when our work, when our loved ones, when whatever, we don't love them, we don't like them, we don't desire them, we don't want to do anything associated with the work, with the people that we have moments. Is that real? Is that real? That's real.
Yeah.
Yeah. But is it also just as real to choose love, or choose to go work out, or choose to show up for work, or choose to do the dishes, or what's real? It's all real.
That's good.
What is this business of, well, yeah, I'm at the gym just faking it. I'm eating, I'm just faking it though. I mean, we sound insane when we think about it that way.
Right.
But there are people that literally are convinced, well, I'm not going to fake it. What? No, it's not faking it. It's called ownership. You're owning it. You're leading it. You're managing it. You're rocking it. That's who you really are, the person that's driving it, the CEO, the owner. That's who you really are. Otherwise, then what you are is the victim.
So you're choosing to change.
Yes.
Your personality.
Yes. And so I'm telling you what, I just saved somebody's marriage. Because there's people out there that they have ruminated back here over, all you do is you think about everything wrong with your spouse, everything you can't stand. I'm telling you, if you would stop that, if you would cut that off and just start to ruminate on the things that you love about that person, I promise you, even now, even if it's a broken relationship, I'm telling you what, you can find some really good things to focus on that they do that you have totally overlooked because all you can think about is all these things right here. And so it's changed the way you interact with your spouse because, well, I just don't want to fake it. Maybe you should fake it. What if you went home tonight and you faked that you were madly in love? What if you faked that they were your favorite person? That will save somebody's marriage. And what is that? That is called ownership. That's called maturity. That's called power.
That's a lesson right there.
Whoa, sorry, I went heavy.
I know.
Let's
I
get
don't
back
even
to
know
the
what to
fun stuff,
say.
sorry.
Jeez.
I wasn't planning to go there. It just
No, but it's good, and you're right, because how many people say I can't fake it, and you know what? You're not faking it the way that you just explained it, and I love that.
And it's true. It's the end of a marriage. I can't fake it anymore. I'm done. Well, you just said it. And if you truly believe that, and that's where you're going to stay, you're going to be fixated right there, and it will be done. Because now, even if the other person is trying and changing, you won't even recognize it because you've already stated it and your mind is already made up. Because you are the owner. You've got a little victimhood based on everything they've done that you're not letting go of. You're the victim, but you're owning who you want to be and where you want this relationship to go. And you're owning your personality in that relationship, how you're interacting, how you come across in that relationship. You're owning that and you're saying, I'm done.
And there's so many, when you think about the areas that you struggle in, it's because you don't want to own it. You want somebody else to own it. They can take all the, the responsibility of whatever it is, a project at work, your marriage, it's you can go on and on and on.
And the rumination is, well, when they do this, and this, then maybe. And it's just it is a black hole. It doesn't work that way.
We got 1 minute.
All right. So, what a fun conversation until the last 2 minutes. I feel like we just went really heavy. Although I hope somebody gets something out of that.
I thought it was really good. Bring us home on a happy note.
Well, again, we're going back to who do you want to be, and what personality you want to have. And I just want to encourage people that maybe just a part of your personality right now currently is you tend to get overwhelmed with growth and change. Like that's where you're at in your life right now. You tend to take these things on. It's overwhelming. It's pressure. There is no pressure in this. This is pure joy. This is pure fun. You're loved. You're accepted. You're okay right where you are, but you want better. Right? You want better. So let's do better. Just take one little tweak, one little area. You already know the area. You already got ideas. Take one little slice of the pie and think of one practical thing you can do today to change that area, and you will feel amazing. That's the key.
So good.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Go to 5starlife.org to learn more. See you next week.
At 5 Star Life, we are changing the face of culture through education and sports by changing the most important piece of a human being's life, their mindset. If you are interested in being a part of our journey, please visit 5starlife.org for more information on volunteer and donation opportunities.